Call the regular meeting of the Cumberland Fire Committee to order on October 27th, 2020. This is a Zoom meeting, so thanks for everyone who have called in. I'd like to first start with a roll call. Commissioner Hayden? Not present. Commissioner Hogan? We know he's here. Commissioner Kutsiani?
Present.
Commissioner Picone?
Here.
Commissioner Jones?
Here.
And Commissioner Santoro? I know Commissioner Santoro was here. I am assuming he is here, and when he can get back to audio, we will hear him, and I know that Commissioner Hogan can hear us. All right, so if we could please take a moment of silence and stand for the pledge. And there's our flag right there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, any general announcements?
Mr. Chairman, Chairperson.
Commissioner, yes, Commissioner Kutsiani.
I know this is no announcement for this, but with the elections coming up and the statute calls for the first meeting to be held after the first Tuesday after certification, which might not take place that week, but if it does, it would be 11/10 for that meeting for the swearing in and the election of officers.
Correct. That is correct. So
you can always set the meeting, and if it can't be done, just cancel.
right. So let's plan on setting the meeting for the 10th. And you are correct. I suspect that it will not be confirmed by that time. So in the event that happens.
Hello, can you see me now?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, thanks.
So if that happens, then it would probably be on the following Tuesday, correct? On the 17th?
I would think that would be acceptable.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Any other general announcements?
What did I miss? Sorry.
Okay. So before we go on, I just want to thank you all for the past 2 years. As we know in life, there are only two sure things: death and taxes. And it's been an honor to serve as your chairperson for the past 2 years and to be on this committee for the past 6 years since its inception. And if the election goes the way I would like for it to go, I will see you back on the 10th or the 17th or whenever it will be after the votes have been certified. So thanks all very much. I appreciate all the work that you've done. We've had a lot of work to do these past couple of years, and everyone has pulled their weight. And I think we are a stronger fire department for the work that you have done. So I want to thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Everyone else on the board, on the committee.
Thank you. All right. Consent agenda. Approval of the minutes from 9/22/20. Is there a motion table?
The only question I had was, Chief, did we sell that truck for 2,500 or 2,900?
The sale of truck one was 2,900.
Okay.
Yes, to Hall's Garage in Situate, Rhode Island.
Yep. Okay. Motion to accept.
Motion to accept by Commissioner Santoro. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Pacone. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. All in favor of accepting the approving the minutes from 9/22/20? Say aye.
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 Oppose? Passes 6-0. I have no communications. Does anyone else have any communications? All right. New business, discussion, consideration, and possible vote to approve the chief's report from September 2020. Chief, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. Attached to the chief's report, you will find the breakdown of calls for the month of September. It showed that the Cumberland Fire District responded to 368 calls for service. It was slightly lower than the month before, but it's average for the month of September. As we begin our heating season going into the winter months, I'd like to add a little public safety comment. If we could remind the public to have their chimney flues and heating units cleaned by a professional in this upcoming heating. This coming weekend is time to change our clocks, and it is an important time to change the batteries in your smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. This upcoming weekend we'll be at the Cumberland Monastery doing a public relation event, a drive-through public relation event with all public safety and town organizations. And we will have batteries and smoke detectors available thanks to Energizer. The town of
I apologize,
Food and
Chief.
Liquor. I'm sorry.
What date was that again, please?
It's this coming Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The town of Cumberland Food and Liquor license renewals are being inspected by the Cumberland Fire Department for compliance. New challenges this year are dealing with outdoor dining with the colder weather approaching. There's different fire code issues that come into play as they try to utilize outdoor heating and temporary structures. Also, in terms of fire prevention, Acting Lieutenant Greg Jones has successfully completed his NFPA certification as fire inspector. You will need to complete some field work with us, and then you will be able to assist with code inspections. I'd like to inform the board, Chief Peter Adam of the Manville Fire Department died this past week from leukemia. Chief Adam was a Cumberland resident and a retired Albion fire captain serving as fire marshal. He was a committee member of the Blackstone River Rescue Committee, and this committee received many grants over the years that benefited the Cumberland Fire District. I'd like to send our condolences to his family and the Lincoln Fire Departments. Cumberland Communications upgraded its station alerting tones. This was part of the Cumberland Public Safety Complex. When they moved across the street, they realized the older software wasn't current to the new computerized radio system. That was done last week at no cost to the department, and it brings us up to the NFPA communication standards. And as I was writing the report, Cybercom Communications was also doing preventative maintenance to the system. So we should be in good shape with our townwide communications. I'd like to recognize Acting Lieutenant Doobie and Firefighter Chris Baker out of the Station 5 for completing a file storage room. Currently, all of the records for all of the previous districts and our current districts are stored at headquarters underneath the apparatus bay. And it's a suspended floor that over the years has received quite a bit of wear and tear. It was a 1950s floor, and it was redone about 25 years ago. So with the floor movement, there's been some cracks, and we were worried about the files becoming damaged. So the firefighters were able to build a storage room for us. And they also were able to put a temporary sealant on these leaks. And it's certainly something we will be discussing in the future for capital improvements. The Cumberland Technical Rescue Team members drilled in Woonsocket this past month. We had 5 members that performed confined space entries for the Woonsocket Hazardous Materials Team. Cumberland is now on a regional technical rescue response run card for Northern Rhode Island, which is our mutual aid system. And we have 7 members that are trained to national standards in rope rescue, and they'll be utilized for those responses. Cumberland Water Rescue and Recovery Team ordered the necessary equipment for underwater communications. This equipment was purchased with funds from a Senate legislative grant and various other donors throughout the community. And once the equipment is in and the team has trained on it, they will be doing some demonstrations, and I'll inform the committee members of those dates. Our Engine 1, located in the Valley Falls section of town, Station 1, is currently out of service. While we were performing the required annual pump service at Greenwood Emergency Vehicles, they noted frame loss on the chassis of the vehicle. The frame was inspected by emergency vehicle technicians in an independent engineering testing service. They noticed the frame loss was greater than the recommended standard. Anything greater than 10% loss, they worry about the integrity of the frame and the apparatus. So we met with the Finance Committee to inform them, but we are still investigating the outcome of that truck. But at this current time, the truck is out of service. Also, on the Finance Committee's recommendation, an apparatus committee will be formed to investigate the future of our fleet, as we've had an unfortunate month of repairs. We have been using other communities' apparatus as well as our reserve equipment to respond to our emergencies. Notably, Central Falls, we had their reserve truck for 3 weeks. We also had a Lime Rock engine out of Lincoln for a few days. Currently, we have, as I mentioned, our Engine 1 out of service, and also our Engine 5 is out of service with a engine head gasket repair. So with these repairs and the need for utilizing mutual aid engines, we purchased a 1995 International E1 pumper as a stopgap for this budget. The truck was purchased for $5,000. As we mentioned prior to my report, we had recently sold, or for scrap value, our truck 1 for $2,900. So essentially this truck cost $2,100 and it is inspected, and it is to be utilized in a reserve capacity. Looking forward for our apparatus committee and our finance committee, NFPA 1911 recommends the replacement of fire apparatus at the 25-year mark, and our ISO standard that we are judged by the insurance industry does not recognize apparatus past this 25-year mark. We will move forward with the apparatus committee and look for commissioner's support from the finance committee in the very near future. Thank you very much.
Any questions for the chief, acting chief?
So just quickly, Madam Chair, if you don't mind.
Commissioner Picone, go ahead.
Chief, so being in the Cumberland Hill area, I drive by Station 4 pretty often, and just give my compliments to whoever painted the doors and put the signs over the garage bays at the station, because it looks pretty nice. So just a little something, but just wanted to throw it out there that I noticed.
I appreciate that, and again, that was our firefighters taking pride in their station, and I appreciate their work also. Thank you.
Very good. Now I'll have to go and drive by.
You can't miss it. Bright red doors. Very fire station-esque. Love it.
What an interesting color to pick. I'm shocked. Any further discussion?
Just thank you, Chief, for mentioning Chief Peter Adam. He was one of my best friends for over 30 years. Excellent fire chief for the Blackstone Valley area. And thank you for the respect of showing up to his wake and his funeral, and for the contingency from Cumberland that did show up. It was very well appreciated by the Manville firefighters as well as his family.
Thank you, Commissioner Santoro, and my condolences to the family also. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. All in favor of?
Motion to
I'm sorry, motion. God.
Motion to accept the chief's report.
Motion to accept the chief's report by Commissioner Santoro. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hogan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. All in favor of accepting the chief's report, say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes 6-0. All right, moving forward. Finance Director's report. Steve?
Good evening, everyone. The finance report was emailed out in advance, so it speaks for itself as usual. I just wanted to add, we just had the quarterly payments that were due on the 15th of this month. And as of today, we are about 70% collected, which is consistent with what we were at the same spot last year at this time. So I just wanted to make that note that we are on track for meeting what we did last year. But if anybody had any questions on the finance report or any questions on that, I would be happy to answer them.
Madam Chair, if I could.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kutsiani.
I've looked at this report for the income and expenses for July of 2022 through September 2020. And I forgot to make a comparison to previous years, but it seems to be on target. I know that there's some front end expenditures, as there will be some back end expenditures, but it seems to be on target. That's sort of a statement in a question to the finance.
No, you are correct, Phil. We are on target. We are having some additional unexpected vehicle repairs that are coming up in the month of October, and some of those won't be paid probably until November. So we'll be playing catch up with that. So we'll have a better picture of that probably in next month or December's report.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, is there a motion on the table to accept the finance director's report?
Make a motion to accept.
Motion by Commissioner Pacone.
Ooh.
Seconded by,
I will second, Madam Chair.
second by Commissioner Kutsiani. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. All in favor of accepting the finance director's report, say aye.
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 Passes, nay, any nays? Nope, passes 6-0. All right. Next item on the agenda, discussion, consideration, and possible vote to appoint Acting Chief Nicholas Anderson as the Chief of the Cumberland Fire District and direct the Chair with the assistance of the District Solicitor to negotiate a 3-year employee contract for committee review, consideration, and approval. All right, I'll begin. So tonight, we have an opportunity to take advantage of the work that Acting Chief Nick Anderson has done for the past year plus in running the Cumberland Department. This was not an easy task to take on, but I really feel strongly that he has done the work that has earned my respect, and I imagine the respect of most of you or all of you, and the respect of the fire department. And after we had a discussion at our last meeting, we were allowed, it was determined that we could, without doing a search internally or externally, that we could appoint Nick Anderson as the fire chief for the Cumberland Fire Department. I am very happy that we are able to do this because I really feel strongly that he is the right person for this position to assist in leading us forward. There are many characteristics and qualities that Nick has displayed. One that really needs to be acknowledged besides his leadership is the ability to work within the confines of the budget and working to find alternative ways to spend money that was not causing us to go into more debt. With his work and the finance director's work, we're seeing a tremendous turnaround. And of course, with the support of the union, the firefighters union, and what they have done for the budget, we're seeing a turnaround. And I'm really pleased at where we're going to stand at the end of this fiscal year, unless, and I can't say anything because that just jinxes everyone. But, you know, I'm hoping that we're going to have fantastic results from budgetary wise for the citizens. So if anyone else wants to chime in, this is an opportunity to publicly acknowledge the work that Acting Chief Nicholas Anderson has done. And then we can consider the rest of his career. Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Kutsiani.
let me just get set. Hold on.
Yep.
I know that the last meeting, we discussed this appointment, and I totally agree with your comments as to the service that the chief has rendered the fire district for the past 14 or 15 months. I think he's done a great good for the district. Look forward to working with him for the foreseeable future in capacity as now chief of the Cumberland Fire District. And a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Commissioner Santoro.
Sure. Well, I totally agree and endorse everything you say. I have a problem with the the way that this resolution is written. And I wish it was broken down into two different parts. I spoke last month in total support of Chief Anderson. You can call him acting or not, he's our chief. And I fully support approving him being appointed tonight. The fashion in which his contract is negotiated, I think, should be a separate item, whether it be the chair or a committee with the help of the solicitor, should be a separate item for discussion. I would ask the solicitor to chime in if we should be having this discussion at all without having a motion. Mr. Sinapi, your comment, sir?
Specific to, I know you expressed some concern about the manner of negotiating the contract. Is that your concern?
Well, I mean, we're discussing the resolution without even having a motion at this point right now. Are we in order? Are we out of order? Or what are we doing here?
Well, like I like to say, you really should have a motion of some sort in a second and discuss it to discuss any matter. It's kind of Robert's Rules tactical procedure. But a lot of committees, including this one, just announce the agenda item as set forth, and they discuss that. There's no motion before the body right now. So if there's a motion, there can be a motion to appoint the chief. There can be a motion to appoint the chief, and designate a different way to establish a contract. There can be a motion to appoint the chief at X salary as an at-will employee. You can do anything you want.
Okay.
The particular agenda item, I drafted and discussed with the chair, and it had several purposes. One was, as you know, the chief has been working, at less than the chief's pay for some time as an acting chief. And it was felt that at this point we needed to get him appointed so that he can get a bump up in his compensation and not have that go any further. The second consideration was, again, to retain, quality people. You generally don't hire them at will at this level. You generally have some contract with for-cause provision for termination. So it was a thought that he should have a contract. And the contract's not something that, a committee of 7 or 5 or 9 or whatever generally negotiate. It is something which is usually delegated, and then it comes to the full body for consideration, amendment, discussion, and approval. The third consideration was that there are different ways to negotiate a contract. Again, the worst way is to have the full committee try to negotiate it. There are other ways to do it. You can appoint a committee to do it. You can, direct one or more members to do it. You can direct the chair to do it. You can direct your counsel to do it. You can direct the chief, or the prospective appointee to have their attorney draft the contract and submit it to the committee for their approval and review. There's any number of ways this can be done. I thought that the way that the agenda item was set forth was the most simple, expeditious, inexpensive, and effective way to do it with full transparency and oversight. keeping in mind that, you know, you guys are largely, you know, work for a small stipend, and this is something that, you know, it takes time and effort, and that you shouldn't all have to be tied to it. So in any event, that's what the motion try to address all three issues. One, get the chief appointed as soon as possible. Two, give him a contract for a specified period of time so that we can retain his services. And three, it was to do it in an inexpensive and expeditious way. I've seen the old contract. It has issues. I know the issues that I believe need to be addressed. I can negotiate that with the chief. We can discuss it. We know about the level or range of salary that is appropriate at this point for this position. I don't see it as being that complicated. And I thought that's something that the chair and I could put together and present to the full committee, where you can then spend your time and effort in a public session with full transparency to discuss the details and to the merits and the consideration that went into it. So again, if the committee wants to do it another way, whatever motion you know, you guys make and whatever you discuss and agree upon ultimately is fine. But I just thought it was the simplest and most effective and efficient way to do it. And the chair agreed, and that's why the agenda item was proposed that way.
So, what kind of timing are you looking for, Madam Chair, in terms of starting this kind of negotiation? I mean, you're the only one who's facing an opponent, and are you looking to negotiate this before the election?
Certainly, the faster, the sooner the better, but that may not be able to have that happen. So I was just going to ask our solicitor if I could appoint a committee to work with you on that contract, because there is no guarantee that I will be a part of this board after November 2nd or 3rd, whatever date it is.
So, that's part of the concern I had was, and I think we all agree, we want to appoint the chief tonight, right? And I think that, you know, we're in public session here, so can we break the resolution down into two parts? And first, we should make a motion to follow Robert's rules. So, and then we should follow the rules. And then secondly, the discussion, if we can get more input from the other members of the board, who else feels comfortable? Do we want a committee of 3, or do we want to have the new chair or the current chair? I'm not sure Nick wants to. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday next Tuesday. We're forcing the chief to get an attorney to negotiate the contract. And I mean, he has to hire an attorney, his expense, to negotiate a contract to be signed within a week. It's a chief's contract. This is not like, you know, this is a chief. We're hiring our chief for the next 3 years, and it takes time. He may not be able to meet within a week. He may be going on vacation for the weekend. He may have Friday, Monday off. He may not be available for the next 5-6 days to meet you, Cindy. So things may change. For the new chairperson, may end up being, who knows? So to say, you know, the chair first, and as we all know, the committees may change at the next meeting. So if we could just do the first half of the resolution before the word and then kind of reword the second half of the resolution to a committee that will be assigned at the November meeting to negotiate the contract with the assistance of the solicitor. And I'll take the direction from our solicitor, Mr. Sinapi. As you said, I agree. It's not, brain surgery here. If you want to give us some input, and also, Vinny, this is something you do every day, right? In your regular job, negotiating contracts. If you have any,
not employment, but
but
for the most part.
I think. What do you think about this? This is your wheelhouse, right?
Yeah, I think the simpler we keep this, the better. I agree with a lot of your concerns. Don't get me wrong, but I think maybe a small committee of the chairwoman and maybe one or two other people at most would be fine. I don't think we need to make this a full-blown separate subcommittee that's got to have to meet within the next week or 2 weeks or however long it's going to be done. So I think we're all pretty much in agreement that what the correct direction is going forward, and I think the contract itself is really just a formality. Like the solicitor said, there's a set guideline for the salary and what would be appropriate, and I think other than that, there's not a whole lot to go through. So I am in favor of doing whatever is the most I guess the quickest and most reasonable.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Kutsiani.
I've looked at the wording, and I agree. Multiple issues in regards to what the solicitor has commented on to try to make it simple and forthwith and straightforward. At the same time, Commissioner Santoro has raised some very valid issues. I know what this says, subject to, well, it doesn't use the word subject to, but wording the way it is to negotiate a 3-year employment contract. And the question is, who's going to do it? And I heard the issue about, certainly we want the solicitor to participate in it. And the question is, and I believe the chair will still be the chair after the elections, but if it is not, then it will be someone else. It raises some issues that I think can be decided today. If we vote to just appoint the acting chief, he's a chief at will. He would be at will until the contract is negotiated and presented to the committee for its review, consideration, and approval. And until that happens, he is just going to be a chief at will. That's my.
No. I'm not going to have a chief ever lose his stability of having the union backing and his stability of his current contract to make a chief of our department an at-will employee. And I would never disrespect our current chief that way. I understand what you're talking about, Phil, but right now he has protections of the union and of his 25 years he's given to our service of our town. And to make the chief of a department an at-will employee is, I know what your intentions are, but it's disrespectful to our chief to do that. No chief in any town would do that.
Oh, you misinterpreted my word. I have to admit that you heard my words. I'm not suggesting I'm trying to be disrespectful. I'm trying to make a comment about what I believe the motion states. And I'm trying to make some suggestions. So don't say I'm being disrespectful, because I'm not. I'm trying to make a statement of the wording of the motion.
Okay.
There's multiple ways of looking at it, and the solicitor has pointed out various ways. We could hold off on this particular motion then until until after the election, which would be literally within 2 weeks.
If I could interject, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Solicitor, what if we changed the wording in section 2 on the resolution? Because I don't think that this is a huge issue. And where it says the Cumberland Fire Committee hereby directs the vice chairperson. That way, The vice chair will direct either form a group or work with the solicitor. That way I am taken out of the mix, because there is no guarantee that I will be on the committee at the next meeting. What do you think?
I think that that can be done, very simply. I would just point out that if this committee forms a committee to negotiate this contract, that any meeting of that committee is a public hearing and has to be noticed and has to be in public.
Right.
So again, this is not rocket science. It's a simple contract. We work off the old one, we tweak it a little bit, we present it. The whole committee can have at it. You can have big transparent hearing in front of all the public about the issues. I can point out to them, and then you can make a decision. The other way, you're going to have, 3 people. It's going to be a committee. It's going to have to be publicly noticed. It's going to be an open meeting to negotiate a very simple contract. Okay, but if that's what you want to do, that's fine.
Can we, sorry, Mr. Can we allow the attorney just to negotiate themselves? Or do we have to have one of us involved?
You don't have to have one of you involved, but it probably makes sense to have one of you involved. Me and one member of the committee is not a meeting, so that's not an issue.
Right.
I'm sorry. Can we word this so that we appoint him tonight with contract to be discussed at the November meeting?
You certainly can, but again, you're going to go round and round on this. And when you're done, you're going to realize that what I have proposed is the simple way to do it. And it's the best way to do it. And it's the fairest way and the accurate way to do it. You're going round and round. You want to have a committee, we'll have a committee. You want to wait till next meeting to have a committee, we'll wait till next meeting. Or you just want to do it. It's not that complicated. Negotiating this contract is not a big deal. If it was, the chair and I wouldn't have presented it this way.
Personally, appointing the vice chair, Commissioner Kutsiani, in my place, to me, would be appropriate.
That solves the problem that has been raised, that whether or not this chair is with her background and continuity would be here after the election. It solves that problem. And again, it moves this thing forward. So
that's all going to change after the election. And then we have a new chairman and vice chairman after the next meeting, right?
There is that possibility.
There is, but the vice chair will still be on the committee.
Okay, so.
And the vice chair and I would imagine that the contract would be solved by the time the vote is certified.
Okay.
Well, I can't say that I'm going to be able to meet with the chief and somebody else between now and next Tuesday and wrap this up. I'm not going to suggest that.
No, and that's why the vice chair can be appointed. I would personally appoint the vice chair to manage this issue.
By name.
By name. Yes. By name.
Not by title, by name.
Correct.
Okay. That makes more sense. Using names, not titles.
Right.
Okay.
Question, Dana Jones, have a question?
Go ahead, Commissioner Jones.
Just following your discussion on the continuity, which Attorney Sinapi brought up, that's an excellent point, that there's a lot of history and knowledge of the process that's going on, so that if we did appoint a person in name, it doesn't make any difference whether that person is elected to a chair or vice chair. It doesn't make any difference. We just appoint that person to work with our solicitor to come up with a contract for the full board, no matter who it is, after the election. They can decide one way or the other on it. But at least the footwork is done.
Yeah.
It's in progress. So I would be agreeable to that, as long as the chair is, and Madam Chair, you're the one that suggested it, so it might be a way to go.
Sure.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Kutsiani.
just another issue. And I realize it's the board's decision to make as to what to do and how to do it. But I'm going to ask another person to make a comment on if it's appropriate.
Who might that be?
Acting Chief Anderson. Do you have any thoughts in regards to this? I know it's our decision to make, and we will make the decision in the best means possible. But if we follow through with one of the issues that I actually even raised the possibility of appointing you at tonight, and then Commissioner Santoro raises some issues, very valid issues. Would you want to have this heard tonight or at a later date? I'm just looking for information.
Sure. I mean, so appointing to fire chief pending contract negotiations, it seems appropriate at this point. That's perhaps what Paul was getting at in defense to the at will portion. Obviously, just by that appointment doesn't mean that I'm out of a job. If
Yes, exactly.
so, I don't know if that would shed some light on that, but certainly, hearing the solicitor's take on interpretation brings up obviously valid points. The timeline of getting this done before the election is a very tight schedule. But that being said, it is not, as the solicitor mentioned, it is not a big contract because the groundwork was already laid by the previous contract.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes, absolutely.
So I agree with the suggestion that Vice Chair Kutsiani take care of the negotiations along with the solicitor. Could I also suggest that the contract also be run by Steve once it gets a little bit closer, just to take a look at the financial implications?
I would hope that Steve would be involved in the process anyways. Absolutely.
Great, thanks.
Commissioner,
I think,
go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I agree having one person along with the solicitor negotiate this will be the quickest, most efficient way to do it. The contract itself, I know, isn't going to be too difficult, and I trust that we wouldn't lowball the acting chief, and I know he wouldn't be looking for something that is unreasonable for the position anyway. So with the contract coming to the full board for approval after the negotiation, I think getting this done, in the original plan is the best one if we want to, have the vice chair take care of it, just for continuity's sake.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Pacone.
Madam Chair, again, if the board is considering that aspect, again, Commissioner Santoro's concerns, specifically if I'm the vice chairman now, and you mean specifically me, to work with the district solicitor, I think by name would probably be the better method, just to be on the perfectly safe side.
Oh, I had every intention of mentioning your name. But here's the question, and this is for the solicitor. We're looking at the resolution in section 2. And the committee hereby directs the chairperson to negotiate. Can we change that? The committee hereby directs the vice chairperson, or can we leave it as that and then everybody knows that I am asking Commissioner Kutsiani to stand in my place?
Like I said, there's no motion before the committee, and a motion to appoint Commissioner Kutsiani, directing Commissioner Kutsiani to with the solicitor negotiated contract it's fine. It's within the scope of the agenda item. It's not like it's something that's not given public notice of what was going to be discussed. So,
Okay.
So I think the best way would be, Cindy, Madam Chair, where it says, and directs the chair, let me see the wording. It directs, and direct the chair with assistance, and directs Commissioner Cucciani with assistance of the district solicitor. I would use that wording. If you're ready, I make the motion right now if you're ready for me to make it.
Yeah, we haven't even read the resolution yet.
Okay.
you don't have to. I mean, he's going to just make a motion. He's making a motion within the scope of the agenda item. That's fine.
I make a motion to appoint Acting Chief Nicholas Anderson as Chief of the Cumberland Fire District, and I direct Commissioner Cucciani with the assistance of District Solicitor to negotiate a 3-year employment contract for the committee review, consideration, and approval.
I didn't think we were there yet. I didn't know if anyone else wanted, the discussion hadn't been,
Well, we can discuss after I get a second.
He's correct.
okay. Motion to appoint Acting Chief Nick Anderson as Chief of the Department and to appoint Commissioner Cucciani to work with the assistance of the District Solicitor to negotiate a 3-year contract, a presentation to the full board. Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Second
also.
by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Jones.
I'm just going over the signed, and it with Commissioner Cucciani serving on personnel, it sort of dovetails in to that aspect. And the other 2 people on that committee are Santoro and Hogan. So I think they're in agreement, and I am, overall, I'm in agreement that that's the way to go. So I'll be supporting this.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else? All right. Well, big day for Cumberland Fire Department. All those,
Did we have a second?
Yes.
yes.
Mr. Jones.
Commissioner Jones seconded. All those in favor of appointing,
Roll call vote, please.
Paul? I was going to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor of appointing Acting Fire Chief Nick Anderson as Chief of the Cumberland Fire District, with a roll call vote, say aye, please. Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Not the
Aye.
motion. That's not the motion that was. put
That's
to-
not the motion. Let me finish the motion. And direct Commissioner Cucciani to work with the district solicitor to negotiate a 3-year employment contract for the committee review, consideration, and approval. Roll call vote. Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Cucciani?
Yes.
Commissioner Picone?
Yes.
Commissioner Santoro?
Yes.
Commissioner Hogan?
Yes.
And I say yes.
Chief, congratulations.
I am happy to report that we passed this resolution 6-0. And I'm happy to say congratulations, Chief. That feels really good to say. Congratulations, Chief Anderson.
Thank you very much.
Silent clap.
Yay.
Well deserved, Chief. Congrats.
Definitely well deserved. Is there any public input?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Kutsiani?
this is not strictly the general announcements for the Cumberland Fire Board, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to say thank you to our Solicitor, Richard Sinapi, who has finished a one-year term as president of the Rhode Island Association for Justice, again, with a job well done.
Yay.
Thank
Hey,
you.
there you go.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Phil.
Very nice.
We have him. That's why he's here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Solicitor. Nice job.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you. Oh, he's blushing now. Okay. Any public input? Okay. Thank you, general public, for being here. Is there a motion on the table to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Santoro. Is there a
I'll second.
second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Kutsiani. Any further discussion? All right. Motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Congratulations, Chief.
Congrats,
And
Chief. Have a
this
good night.
meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much. Have a good-
Thank you.
Thank you for the support.
Everybody.
And Dick, I'll call you tomorrow.